Alright, what's up, STS? This is Combat Corner. My name's Jonesy, and I'm going to be talking about some MMA today. Mainly just UFC. I'm going to be giving a preview for all the triple header on Fight Island. I'm going to be previewing that and giving my predictions for the main fights for all three of those events. So that's stuff I'm really excited about. It's been a few weeks actually since we've had any UFC programming, and it feels really weird. It honestly does. As I'm filming this, it's a Saturday, and I'm so used to in about 3-4 hours getting ready to start watching some MMA. So it's been weird. It's been a bit of a dry season, but we're about to kick back into things full swing. And it's all going to be capped off with the return of Conor McGregor having a highly anticipated rematch with Dustin Poirier. I cannot wait for that. But let's start off first with Max Holloway versus Calvin Kattar. I'm really excited about this fight, and I think because of Conor's return, this fight's already being overlooked. But I think this fight has the potential to be a more exciting fight overall than Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor 2. I honestly do. Max Holloway and Calvin Kattar are the two best, most crisp boxers in the entire featherweight division, in my opinion. Max Holloway, he 2020 didn't work out that great for him. He had the questionable decision loss to Alexander Volkanovski, when he's trying to get his title back. I thought it was a really good fight. I thought the fight could have gone other way. To this day, I'm still not 100% decided on who I thought won that fight. I could definitely see it going to Max, though. But it ultimately didn't go his way in the judge's eyes. And he's going to be looking to bounce back from that and secure a win here early in 2020 against a really promising prospect in Calvin Kattar, who had a great 2020, who knocked out Jeremy Stephens with a vicious elbow at UFC 249, and then he beat Dan Ige in a really exciting 5-round main event on a fight night. We headlined it, and that was really cool. That was a lot of added pressure, and that was a step backwards. I'm pretty sure at the time Ige was ranked behind Jeremy Stephens, who Kattar just beaten, and he took the fight anyway, and still got the victory. That was really impressive to me to see him take that. He's willing to take risks, and because of that, he's getting rewarded with a big fight in a week against Max Holloway. Both guys, they excel in different areas with their boxing. And Calvin Kattar is very powerful. He's a very thick featherweight, very thick 145er. And he has extremely powerful hands. He has crisp combinations. He's just overall a very good fighter, very technically sound. Over the years, he hasn't done the best with leg kicks, with checking leg kicks when they're thrown at him. But he showed he had improved that a bit in the Dan Ige fight, and he even threw some good ones of his own. So that was really good to see. A young guy evolving a lot. Max Holloway, on the other hand, he is the best volume and the best combination puncher in the entire featherweight division. The way that especially when he gets his momentum going in, let's say, the 3rd, 4th round of a fight, the way that he chains together combinations and punches and just never stops all 25 minutes. All 25 minutes, if you can last that long with him. All 25 minutes, he's just in your face, throwing non-stop volume, non-stop pressure. He threw some crazy 10-11 punch combination on Brian Ortega or something when they fought. It was crazy. And Max Holloway has been a guy that's been around for a long time, and he's not even 30 years old yet, and he's fought some of the best of the best. He's fought Jose Aldo twice, arguably the greatest featherweight of all time, and definitely the greatest featherweight champion of all time. He's fought Conor McGregor. He's fought Dustin Poirier twice. He's fought Anthony Pettis. He's fought Frankie Edgar. He's Volkanovski twice. He's fought so many amazing fighters in his day, and he's not even 30 yet. It's crazy, and I think that, especially with a win over Calvin Kattar next weekend, I feel like he's going to be right back in the title picture again. I don't think, unless he gets beaten devastatingly by Calvin Kattar, I don't foresee him really ever being out of the title picture for too long. You know what I'm saying? It's just I think his skills speak for themselves. I don't think there's a lot of other featherweights that can really deal with that. You know, even in the modern day landscape, I feel like there's a lot of guys that are going to do good against him for the first few rounds, but I don't think they can take his long game. I don't think they can take him weathering the storm and turning it on in the later rounds. Calvin Kattar, I don't know if he's going to have too much of a problem with that, because as we saw, he can go 5 rounds. And he went 5 rounds in a pretty tough fight against Dan Ige and looked really good. Didn't look tired. Didn't look like he wanted out at any point in that fight. So that's a good sign going in. But again, Dan Ige doesn't put it on you like Max Holloway does. As far as a prediction, I'm honestly going to have to lean Max Holloway right now. You know, I know that Calvin Kattar, he has the power to put you out in a split second, but Max Holloway has the best chin in featherweight history, in my opinion, and one of the best chins in the whole company. This guy's never been knocked down, and having faced all those people that I just listed, all those amazing, powerful power punchers, these one-shot knockout artists, you know, Dustin Poirier, Jonesy, all the Conor McGregor, these guys that are known for their power, and none of them can knock Max Holloway down, you know, let alone out. And I don't think Calvin Kattar is going to be the first guy to knock Max Holloway out. You know, if he can finish Max Holloway with strikes, especially with head strikes, that's going to be he's going to be he's already a dangerous prospect, but he's going to elevate himself to being an extremely dangerous and scary prospect. But I'm going to have to go with Max Holloway. As far as how he's going to win it, I'm going to have to say a decision. You know, I don't think Calvin Kattar is really going to burn himself out to the point where it's going to get TKO'd, again, unless he just goes all out trying to take Max's head off in the early rounds and it doesn't work. I think Max is going to be able to outpoint him to a decision, but I think it's going to be a really, really close fight, and I can definitely see Calvin taking the W as well. Then after that, we get to Neil Magni versus Michael Kiesa on Wednesday. You know, this was originally supposed to be Khamzat Chimaev versus Leon Edwards, which would have definitely been a more hype fight. You know, I was really interested to see how Khamzat Chimaev, who just lit the scene on fire throughout all of 2020, beating a bunch of guys at welterweight. Oh, I think he beat one guy at welterweight and 2 guys at middleweight, and he's a natural welterweight. You know, it was pretty crazy. But we haven't seen him fight anybody who's even close to a top tier, you know, world class ranked fighter yet. And Leon Edwards is going to be a huge test for him. It's going to be an exciting test for him. You know, it was one I was really excited to see, and it's the second time the fight's fallen through. I really hope that it gets rebooked, but I don't know. It's the second time it's fallen through, and both times because of COVID, you know, reportedly. So we'll see what happens. But now we got Neil Magny versus Michael Chiesa, which is still a very good fight. That's definitely going to be one that it's one between 2 guys who are definitely very skilled. 2 guys that are mainly grapplers. It's hard for me to call how their grappling's really going to match up. You know, Neil Magny, his grappling attacks are usually more wrestling based. Like we saw against his win over Robbie Lawler, he basically wrestled him the entire time. And Michael Chiesa is definitely more jiu-jitsu based. He has very, very slick submissions. They're both decent strikers too, decent strikers, you know, just well-rounded overall. This one's pretty hard to call, honestly, just because I'm not too sure how this one's going to play out. I don't know who's really going to, who's going to be the first one to shoot for a takedown. I don't really know who's going to be the one that's going to be wanting to keep it on the feet. Magny is huge for the division, and not like bulky, but he's very, very long. So I'm thinking if anyone's going to want to keep it on the feet, it might be him. We use his length advantage, his reach advantage. But, we've seen Kiesa strike too, and he's definitely not an incompetent striker. But, it's none of these guys' bread and butter, really. I'm thinking if someone was going to shoot first, it's probably going to be Kiesa because of his submission threat. But it's a tough one to call. I gotta say, right now, I think I might go with Neil. I think I might go with Neil Magny. This is another light prediction because, again, I'm not entirely sure how this fight's going to play out, who's going to want to bring it where. But I think Neil Magny, if he has one of his classic performances, you know, doesn't really take a whole lot of risks, you know, kind of plays it safe, but again, smart, you know, plays it safe and plays it smart. I think, you know, he's going to be the slightly bigger man. You know, Kiesa used to make 155. Granted, he looked terrible at the weigh-ins, but he used to be able to make 155, which is pretty crazy. I don't think Neil Magny could ever make 55. Watch him have, like, fought at lightweight or something earlier in his career. I just don't even know about it. There's so many people that I've, like, that I never knew they tried to fight at a lower weight class. Like, it was crazy when I found out that Dan Hooker used to be a featherweight. That's just insane. Doesn't look like he's ever been a lightweight. Nah, he's actually a middleweight for one fight, but he's never been a lightweight. You know, so I think Neil Magny, especially if he hits the ground, I think he can use his wrestling to control position. I think he can use it to nullify a lot of the submission attempts from Kiesa when he's trying to use his jiu-jitsu. I can see Kiesa locking up a submission, you know, I definitely can, but I'm going to have to go with Magny. I think he'll control it, and I think he'll probably coast it out. And then, we get to the big one. You know, return of the notorious Conor McGregor facing Dustin the Diamond Poirier in a much-anticipated rematch from all the way back in 2014. Both these guys have changed a lot since then. You know, Dustin Poirier especially has really come into his own. I think, you know, he's made some good skill developments, but I think the main thing that's changed about him that's really going to help him in this fight is his durability. I think he's so much more durable at lightweight than he was at featherweight when they fought the first time at 145. I think, you know, wide 155 Poirier he's a whole different animal. He can take so much more to give so much more. And that's going to be really interesting against this modern day version of Conor McGregor, who's also so much bigger than he was at featherweight. You should see, especially like the photos he's released from training. He's huge now, and it's going to be really exciting to see. It's going to be really exciting to see how their styles nowadays match up. I'm just going to say it off the bat. I don't think both guys have definitely gotten a lot better, but because of that, I don't think the gap between them, at least in the striking, has really closed all that much. I feel like Conor McGregor, all around, is the better striker. I feel like he has better kicks. He has better movement. He has better counters. He has, I'd like to say he has better offense with, like, you know, with the boxing. Dustin Poirier has great offense with the boxing, but he leaves himself so open sometimes, especially when he's trying to string together those long combinations, when he's trying to switch stances while moving forward. I don't know. I feel like he puts himself in a lot of bad positions. But Dustin, you know, I'll say for, like, offense and aggression, I'll say they're even, because, again, we don't see, when Conor comes forward, he's usually coming forward to force something out of his opponents to throw the counter. Back in his early featherweight days, he was a lot more forward pressure and forward aggression. You saw it in their first fight with in Poirier and McGregor's first fight. McGregor was extremely aggressive in that fight. He was always throwing first. He threw a couple counters, but most of everything he threw was him throwing first and landing first, which was pretty interesting. This time around, I feel like McGregor might use more of the counters. I feel like he might try and bait out a lot of those giant winging shots on Dustin, especially when fights start going, not going south for him, but when the fight starts to really heat up, you see Dustin's defense kind of melt away a little bit. You see him kind of try to come forward a lot. Saw it in the Dan Hooker fight, which is an incredible fight. One of the fights of 2020. I think it's probably the second best or third best. The best was Joanna versus Wei Li, but you can interchange Hooker and Poirier and Figueiredo and Moreno for like the second and third best fights of 2020. It was an amazing fight. Dustin Poirier is a warrior, but I feel like it's going to behoove Conor McGregor to try and bait out some of those long combos or some of those looping punches that Poirier throws when the fight starts to get heated. You know, bait those out and look for the counters. Especially since now Conor McGregor is such a better counter striker than he was in 2014. I love Dustin. And I really love to see him get this win. And I think one of his best paths to victory here is going to be to mix up the striking with the grappling. I don't think he's going to be able to get a whole lot off on Conor McGregor on the ground. We saw Conor's takedown defense and submission defense is a lot better than we thought. But we saw that in the Khabib fight. But I'm just saying, I think Dustin needs to mix it up. I think he needs to get Conor thinking about the takedown. I think he needs to shoot a couple, even if he doesn't really mean to complete them. I think he needs to shoot a couple, or at least fake shooting a couple. Get him thinking about the wrestling, get him thinking about the grappling to open up the hands. I think if he just stands there and goes punch for punch with McGregor, I think he's going to go down again. I think his best best way to go is to mix in the grappling. If the grappling works, it's going to gas the heck out of McGregor for those later rounds, and that's when the combinations can start coming together. So Poirier can start stringing it together. It's like 20-punch combos. I think that's when he needs to start unloading those combinations. I think it's going to be way too dangerous at the beginning of the fight to try and do something like that. But we'll see how that goes. And if the grappling doesn't work, at least it gets McGregor thinking about something else. You fake a takedown, come back up, left hook, like Khabib did, change his levels, drop his head real low, and then came with an overhand right instead of the takedown. Caught McGregor off guard. I think Dustin has to do something like that to get McGregor thinking about something else. Not that Dustin's not a amazing striker. He's an amazing striker, and he's an incredibly crisp boxer and combination puncher. But McGregor, he's a sniper. He's not a combination striker. He's a sniper. He's a sniper and a power puncher. And as much power as Dustin Poirier has put on over the years in strength, I still think McGregor is stronger and probably more powerful than him, at least in those exchanges. We saw how much more powerful he was in 2014. And I don't think it's really changed in 2020 or 2021. But, this fight could go either way. These are two extremely high-level world-class guys. And I'd love to see Dustin get the win here, get this one back. But ultimately, I got to go with McGregor. I think he's going to catch him. I think he's going to put him away. If Dustin gets wide open like he did in the Dan Hooker fight, it's only going to take probably 2 or 3 clean shots to land from McGregor. In the wild exchanges, McGregor's going to stay composed. We never see him get lured into wild exchanges. We always see him keep his composure and pick his shots. And I think he probably catches Poirier and puts him down. Not in the first round. I think Dustin's way better than that. I think he's going to come out very cautious, looking to pick his spots at first. Dustin will. But again, as he opens up later in the fight, I think I'm going second or third round TKO for McGregor. Ultimately, and again, Dustin could definitely pull this one off, especially if he does what I said earlier. If he mixes everything up, makes this a true mixed martial arts fight, I think that's his best way of taking this one. But ultimately, I got to go McGregor TKO round 2 or round 3. I think that's it for about now. The co-main event for Poirier McGregor is also amazing. Dan Hooker versus Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler's UFC debut. We're going to see how he finally does against UFC caliber guys. That's something that we've been, a lot of MMA fans have been asking themselves for a while, is how is he going to do against these UFC caliber guys. He's a very good fighter in Bellator. He did lose to the featherweight champion there, Patricio Pitbull, by I think it was KO or TKO, but Patricio Pitbull is a killer. I think he'd do great in UFC as well. But we're going to see. It's a great first fight. I was actually pretty angry when they were talking about putting him against Justin Gaethje for his first fight. I was like, I don't think he deserves it. We saw what happened with Ben Askren. We put him against Robbie Lawler. He almost died until, with the early stoppage. Credit to Askren for weathering the storm and pressing forward. But, Herb Dean, with a bit of an early stoppage, or at least a controversial stoppage, I'll say that. But we saw what happened there, and then he got knocked out by Masvidal. It's like we have to give these guys good competition, but don't throw them to the best of the best at the beginning. They gotta just pay a little bit of their dues. Even if it's just one fight, one dues paying fight, I feel like that's necessary. And I think Dan Hooker's one of the perfect first opponents. I would have probably chosen like RDA for Chandler's first opponent, and then I would have gone like Hooker versus Gaethje, because then you already had Oliveira versus Ferguson, and you have Poirier versus McGregor. I think that would have really, really cleaned things up in that division. But Hooker's another great first opponent for Michael Chandler. I can wait for that fight as well. We got good stuff coming up this next week, these next couple weeks, and some other really, really cool rumored fights later on for 2021. You know, Israel Adesanya's going up to the heavyweight to fight Jan Blachowicz. It's going to be amazing. Dana's talking about rebooking Stipe and Francis, you know, the rematch. It's going to be incredible. Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling, they're finally going to go at it. That's going to be great. And I'm not sure if all these have like concrete dates yet, but you know, I'll definitely make more videos and talk more about that when those are more official, and you know, their timetables are also more known to the public. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this triple header at Fight Island. Looking forward to going into 2021 with the UFC. I thought 2020 was an amazing year, the UFC and for mixed martial arts. Great fights, and really looking forward to 2021. All right, STS, see you.